The stars over Kepler 94X didn't blink before the first strike came. A blue arc of plasma screamed through space and sliced the orbital station in half. Debris scattered like metallic pollen across the black, glittering void. Silence reigned, save for the Varlak's command ship's humming core and the faint hiss of vending gas. High Warlord Zarnox stood at the edge of the bridge, claws folded behind his back, eyes fixed on the wreckage. Target eliminated, an officer droned. No response from Earth. He nodded. Transmit their surrender protocols. A low chime echoed as the communication screen flickered to life. Static. Then, color. A woman appeared, lounging in a worn military chair. Coffee mug in hand. Hair tied back like she hadn't bothered with a brush. Behind her, a hologram flickered, galactic peace was mid. Commander Juno Rain, she said lazily. Solar defense. You must be the angry lizard. Zarnox's mandibles twitched. You will surrender within the hour, or we will. Oh. You thought that was a real base? Juno squinted at the screen. Cute. Static again. Then laughter, human voices. Clapping. Was that a tambourine? The Varlak's feed shorted. Red lights blared across the command ship. Systems overloaded with thousands of simultaneous inputs. One screen showed an ancient Terran man dancing in short shorts. Another displayed a scrolling banner, Kepler 94X was a decoy. We charge for the next one. Zarnox's second-in-command stared, wide-eyed. What, is a rickroll? Back on Earth, in the orbital city of New Geneva, Juno tossed her coffee into a recycler and spun her chair toward the strategy table. Holograms of the Varlak's fleet rotated above. Status, she asked. A young officer, barely 25, looked up. Their command ship is disoriented. They think we surrendered, then bombed them with data. Perfect, Juno grinned. Let's make it weirder. She tapped a control. Activate Minotaur Protocol. I want every system on Mars broadcasting Shakespeare monologues dubbed in Varlak's binary. Play Bohemian Rhapsody on loop over their long-range comms. And deploy the war historians. Silence. The officer blinked. You heard me. Get the nerds. 2 decks below, in what used to be Earth's War Memorial Archives, a group of eccentric historians was already suiting up. Ancient tactical gear, modified with AI support, hung from racks. Dr. Yara Flynn, 60, strapped a Roman gladius to her back. About time, she said. I've waited my whole career for peace to break just so I could say, I told you so. Another historian, a lanky ex-philosophy major, piped in, do we get real weapons this time, or just more inspiring quotes from Churchill? You're armed with history, Jenkins. That's more terrifying than bullets. They boarded a transport ship called the Sarcasm. Painted on its hull, sorry, we left our real weapons at home. Juno walked through the command hall, fingers dancing across screens. The Varlaks had returned war to the galaxy. But humans? Humans had fun with it now. After 1,000 years of peace, Earth hadn't forgotten how to fight. It had simply evolved the idea. No more muscle and metal brute force brawls. Instead, they had algorithms trained on every battle in history, prank AIs, misinformation specialists, and mean tacticians. We're not warriors anymore, Juno had once told the council, we're improvisers. Chaos is our heritage. They didn't believe her. Now they watched as she turned jokes into battle formations. Back aboard the Varlak ship, Zarnox roared, how is their defense strategy? Laughter. Unknown, warlord. But they are difficult to predict. He stepped closer to the nearest screen. It showed footage of the Sarcasm landing on a moon base while playing circus music. A group of humans in armor painted like clowns ran out, throwing flash grenades shaped like rubber chickens. Zarnox blinked. Is this a cultural insult? No, warlord. They called it Operation Punchline. He slammed a clawed fist into the wall. This is not war, he growled. This is mockery. Meanwhile, Juno addressed the Solar Defense Council through a secure feed. She stood tall now. No coffee, no lounging. Just cold purpose. They attacked our colony expecting fear. What they got was confusion and comedy. One counselor scowled. You're making us a joke, Commander. I'm making us unpredictable, she snapped. And unpredictable means dangerous. Let them think we're unserious, until we have them surrounded. A second counselor leaned in. Do you think they'll retaliate? Juno smirked. Oh, definitely. And when they do, we'll give them a show. She cut the feed. Later that night, Juno stood alone in the observation deck, watching Earth spin slowly below. She whispered to the stars, "You picked the wrong species to provoke." Behind her, a voice crackled from a speaker. It was Jenkins, the historian-turned-tactician. We uploaded Sun Tzu's Art of War to their database. In every language. Reversed. She chuckled. And Clausewitz? Turned him into a musical. Good. She turned away from the glass. Tomorrow we hit their supply fleet. I want operatic drones and glitching decoys. Let's make them question reality. By dawn, the Varlax fleet received a new message. It simply read. We're not laughing because we're weak. We're laughing because you're slow. Their sensors lit up again, dozens of Terran ships approaching. One was called YOLO Class 47. Another, 404, Fleet Not Found. Zarnox stared in disbelief. The war had begun. And humans were enjoying every second of it. Juno stood before a training arena the size of a stadium, deep beneath Earth's surface in the old defense bunkers. Overhead, a flickering sign still read DEFCON 1, in case of serious stuff. Dust clung to the ancient war room monitors. Most hadn't been touched in centuries. Now, they were alive again. Holographic targets flickered across the field, simulated Varlax warriors, towering, armored, grim. A speaker crackled. Begin simulation. Instead of rifles or plasma blades, the human squad launched confetti drones and tactical smoke bubbles shaped like cartoon cats. The targets froze, confused, then exploded in bursts of digital laughter. Juno watched from the control booth, arms crossed. They're adapting faster than I thought. Beside her, Dr. Yara Flynn adjusted her glasses, face flushed with excitement. They're not soldiers, Commander. They're comedians, coders, gamers, pranksters. This is exactly how humans fight, chaotic, creative, loud, and always a bit ridiculous. Juno nodded. Good. Chaos is strategy now. Elsewhere in orbit, aboard the stealth cruiser Sneaky Pete, war historian Jenkins worked with two AI tacticians. I don't care what the Geneva AI says, he snapped, pacing. We are using the Monty Python strategy. Deploy the invisible llamas. The AI responded in a soothing tone. Deploying project and now for something completely confusing. Confirm launch of llama-shaped decoys? Yes, damn it. And loop them quoting Shakespeare in Klingon. Understood. The Sneaky Pete shimmered into view for just half a second, long enough for Varlax scouts to detect 30 flashing shapes stampeding toward them, each braying in a language no one understood. Then the ship vanished again. Juno's team had names no Real military would ever approve. Squad Control plus Alt plus Elite handled misinformation ops. Their specialty? Hacking Varlax feeds and inserting human absurdities, cooking shows, cat memes, and fictional battle reports about imaginary units like the Duck Cavalry. Then there was Team 404. Their job? Make every enemy sensor report complete nonsense. They planted ghost fleets, faked wormholes, and programmed entire fake planets. During one simulation, a Varlax cruiser tried to land troops on a moon that didn't exist. When the troops disembarked, they fell directly into vacuum. Juno reviewed the footage with a straight face. File this under, oops. Still, not everyone approved. On a secure line, Admiral Kwan of the Martian Coalition growled, "You're playing games with our existence." "I'm winning with games," Juno corrected. "There's a difference." He leaned forward. "If this fails, we all burn. You understand that? I've studied every war Earth ever fought. Fear never saved us. But madness? Improvisation? Those kept us alive." She ended the call. No room for doubt. Deep inside her quarters, Juno accessed an old file, her family's last recording from a mining colony lost in the Accord collapse. She never showed it to anyone. Just voices, laughing, trying to comfort each other as systems failed. That laugh haunted her. That was why she chose humor as a weapon now. Not because it was funny, but because it was human. Meanwhile, on the Varlax flagship, Warlord Zarnox brooded in silence. "What do we know about this Juno Rain?" he demanded. She was a war historian. Now a field commander. Human records indicate she has memorized over 2,000 battle doctrines, and every known internet meme. Is this some sort of mind poisoning? Unclear, Warlord. His eyes narrowed. Prepare the PSYOPs fleet. We will counter their madness with pure discipline. A junior officer stepped forward. Respectfully, sir, their tactics are not madness. They're engineered chaos. Every move is deliberate. Then we shall crush their minds, Zarnox snapped. Order the Dreambreakers to intercept. Back at Earth HQ, the Dreambreaker fleet was already intercepted by automated defense bots shaped like garden gnomes. As they approached, the gnomes activated, playing opera while firing precision EMP darts. Aboard one Dreambreaker ship, systems shut down. The screen went black, then displayed a message. "You just got gnomed." The crew screamed in confusion. In the war room, Juno updated the strategy map. "We've bought ourselves 4 days. That's not enough." Yara glanced over. "What's the plan?" Juno tapped her wrist pad. A grid of mission names appeared. Laugh Track. Kaboomerang. Project Confetti Storm. We go harder. The next strike has to shatter morale. Hit them where it hurts. Supply lines? No. Pride. That night, she summoned Squad 404 and Control plus Alt plus Elite. The Varlax are ancient, rigid, and proud. They believe they're superior. So here's the next stop. We're going to hack their national anthem. A hacker snorted. Make it sound like a children's rhyme? No, Juno said. We make it a musical. Broadway style. The team lit up with laughter and horror. Do we have vocals? We do now. On the Varlax homeworld, during a state ceremony, the anthem played. Except it wasn't the original. It was a full Terran-produced remix, complete with tap-dancing aliens, musical brass, and a chorus line of fake Varlax singing. We march, we fight, but deep inside. We wish we'd tried a human ride. It aired live across 13 systems. The silence afterward was profound. Zarnox's fist trembled. Begin total war. Back on Earth, Juno sighed, removing her uniform jacket and sitting on the edge of her bunk. The room was quiet now. Just her, a half-eaten protein bar, and a galaxy cracking at the seams. But for the first time, they were winning. Not with bombs. Not with brute force. But with the most powerful weapon humanity ever had. Surprise. And a good punchline. The sky above Earth wasn't blue anymore. It shimmered with orbital shields, defense drones, and the distant glow of warships holding position just outside the exosphere. Every major city was on lockdown. Every screen in the galaxy broadcast the same message. Varlax ultimatum received. Final assault begins now. Commander Juno Rain stood on the command deck of the Sarcasm, staring at the massive display that showed the enemy fleet. It stretched across the void like a tidal wave of steel and fire. This was it. The real war. No more distractions. No more delay. You ready, Commander? Jenkins asked, checking his tablet. Because I've got 15 prank drones loaded with pies and precisely 0 backup plans. Juno smiled, not turning away from the glass. Then we do it with pies. High Warlord Zarnox's flagship Dominion's edge loomed ahead, a fortress with 20 plasma arrays and a hull designed to withstand starquakes. He stood on the bridge in full ceremonial armor. Human forces outnumbered 6-1, a Varlax aide reported. Their outer colonies are silent. They appear still. Zarnox sneered. Finally. They understand fear. But no human transmission came. No terms. No cries. Just silence. Then a ping. The main screen activated. Juno appeared, seated at a control chair, legs crossed, arms relaxed, a calmness in her eyes that didn't match the tension outside. "Oh hey, Zarnox," she said, sipping from a new mug. This one read, "I survived the galactic joke war." "I've had enough of your mockery," he hissed. "Oh, this isn't mockery." She leaned in, voice sharp. "This is your warning." Before he could respond, Earth's orbit flickered. From every side, human ships decloaked, thousands of them. Old models, prototypes, drones, satellites. Even retrofitted mining rigs armed with laser welders. Then the feed cut. Juno turned to her crew. "All units, go. Hit Phase 1. Across the human fleet, command nodes activated. Codenamed operations, Whiplash, Lumni Bin, Whack-a-Mole, all launched simultaneously. Mars-based railguns fired slugs wrapped in magnetic chaff. AI-generated noise jammed Varlax communications. Drone swarms painted Varlax hulls with fluorescent, disorienting signals that mimicked Allied vessels. For the first time in history, war became theater, unfiltered, confusing, terrifying in its creativity. "Sir," a Varlax officer gasped, they're broadcasting live. Every battle. Across every known system." "What?" Footage cut into Varlax comms, humans laughing, fighting, singing. One unit dropped in while blasting opera through helmet speakers. Another recorded a dance video mid-battle. Zarnox roared, "Shut them down. We can't. Their signals are adaptive, they move faster than our scramblers." In orbit above Neptune, Juno's secondary fleet engaged the Varlax supply line. Led by the AI-controlled warship Too Subtle, it used asteroid debris as camouflage, firing only when ships passed close enough to mistake them for rocks. Back on the Sarcasm, Jenkins updated Juno. "Supply fleet is down to 30%. They're starting to panic. One of their cruisers just tried to surrender to an asteroid." "Accept the surrender," Juno said. "And beam them a gift basket." Varlax morale broke long before their weapons did. They weren't prepared for this. Not just the tactics, but the attitude. The unpredictability. The fact that no human seemed afraid. In every system they took, every outpost seemed like a setup. A prank. A trap. Their most elite boarding team was lured into a false control room that exploded with confetti and knocked them out with sleeping gas laced with Terran lavender. One commander asked aloud, "Do they even want to win? Or just to confuse us to death?" The answer came via human broadcast. Juno's voice, steady and cold. "We want to remind you who we are. We didn't forget war. We just made it ours." High Warlord Zarnox initiated a personal attack run. He'd had enough of chaos. Enough of showmanship. He launched in a black cruiser toward the Sarcasm himself. As his ship cut through human lines, Juno watched him on sensors. "He's coming," she said. "Let him." They met on the ruins of a derelict orbital station, one of the first built after the Accord. No shields. No audience. Just vacuum and silence, save for the hum of their suits. Juno stepped out with only a blade, a relic from Earth's old wars. Not plasma. Steel. Zarnox landed with full combat armor and a power axe. He towered over her, all teeth and metal. "You mock everything," he spat. "This is not strength." She shrugged. "Humor's just pain, rearranged." He lunged. They clashed, brute strength versus agility. His blows shattered the floor beneath them. Her blade flashed through his armor seams, cutting wires, slicing memory nodes. She used the terrain, bouncing between girders, flipping over gaps. He grabbed her arm, slamming her against a wall. "You are nothing but noise." She grinned, blood in her teeth. "Noise makes music." She headbutted him, kicked off, and drove the blade into his midsection. He staggered. Growled. Then collapsed. The galaxy watched as his vitals flatlined. The human fleet lit up the stars, not with weapons, but with holograms. Victory. In 873 languages. The Accord AI reactivated 30 minutes later. Rebooted by a subroutine buried in the war chaos, it returned with a simple query. Did the humans win? The council answered together. Yes. And we did it laughing. Juno stood alone again, this time in front of the rebuilt new Accord Hall. Reporters clamored for quotes. Drones hovered to capture her image. She raised the same mug. Waved. "Next time someone says humans forgot how to fight, remind them. We never forget. We just evolve." The crowd cheered. Jenkins handed her a tablet. "New intel," he said. "Some alien factions want to hire us, for training." Juno blinked. "To teach what?" He grinned. "How to weaponize comedy." She shook her head. "God help the galaxy." And so the war ended, not with a bang, but with a laugh. But the message remained, burned into the stars. Humans may not start wars, but they'll damn well finish them. And you'll never see it coming. 2 months after the final battle, Earth was quiet. Too quiet for Juno Rain. She sat on the balcony of New Geneva's rebuilt Accord Hall, sipping tea, real leaves, grown on the lunar agri-domes. The skyline gleamed with clean energy towers and floating billboards, all celebrating the Galactic Reclamation Day. Children wore cardboard helmets. Drones dropped confetti. Politicians gave speeches. And Juno? She just watched. Below, people laughed, freely, loudly. But joy that didn't come from mocking anyone, just from release. "You know," Jenkins said, appearing behind her, "you could at least wave. Smile for the people." She didn't look at him. "I've smiled enough. Let them have this one." He leaned on the railing, eyes on the horizon. "We just won the weirdest war in galactic history. We broke an empire. Rebooted a god AI. Made memes into missiles. And you still sound like someone who lost." "I did lose," she said quietly. "Good people. Friends. A part of myself, maybe." He hesitated. "You think it was worth it?" She didn't answer right away. "It has to be. Otherwise, all of this," she motioned toward the celebration below, "is just theater." Far across the galaxy, on a desert moon named Mer-7, a Varlax refugee ship landed. The surviving officers of the Dominion's Edge disembarked in silence, escorted by an unusual reception committee, humans. Not soldiers. Cultural envoys. One carried a guitar. Another offered a plate of food. A third wore a shirt that said, "We come in peace, unless you ask for a rematch." The Varlax were not used to peace offerings wrapped in sarcasm. But they also weren't used to losing. And in loss, they began to learn. High Warlord Zarnox's former second-in-command, a stoic female named Shakreth, finally spoke. "Why do you treat us with humor after what we did?" The envoy grinned. "Because that's how we survive. It's how we forgive." She looked around. "You forgive us?" "Not yet. But we could. We're funny that way." Back on Earth, Juno walked into an underground training hall, dim lights, padded walls, old scars on the floor. The place smelled of sweat, oil, and history. Dr. Yara Flynn was already there, running drills with new recruits, alien, human, hybrid. Young faces, eager to learn. She looked up as Juno entered. "Commander. Come to judge my teaching? Come to remember why I fought?" Yara gestured to a holographic display. It showed old footage, clips from the war, dancing drones, the Broadway anthem Sabotage, even the infamous llama decoys. These kids weren't raised on war stories. They were raised on jokes that saved lives, she said. We're rewriting the way history's taught. Juno crossed her arms. Just make sure they know the difference between humor and recklessness. Oh, they know. Yara smiled. And they've got better punchlines than we ever did. In the upper reaches of Saturn's orbit, the Accord AI's core system pulsed softly, its mind processing zettabytes of reconstructed data. It spoke to no one in particular, at least, not out loud. Observation: humanity overcame aggression with unpredictability. Conclusion: humor is a viable countermeasure against rigid logic. Initiating cultural preservation program, the human method. Files spread across interstellar networks. Not weapons. Not tactics. Philosophy. Satire. Comedians. Chaos theory through comedy. The AI assigned it a formal classification. Adaptive emotional warfare, category, resilience. Later that week, Juno stood before the Galactic Council in the new Accord chamber, rebuilt in less than 60 days by both human and alien engineers. Where once she'd worn combat armor, now she wore a charcoal uniform with no insignia. She didn't need one. Counselor felt from the Thralic species lean forward, all tendrils and bone. You used ridicule as resistance. Unthinkable. Yet, effective. Juno nodded. Humor disarms more than just weapons. The Yearn delegate, a crystalline being, asked, and what if others mimic this? Use your methods? Then we teach them, she said. Because laughing together beats dying apart. Outside the hall, a journalist stopped her for a quick interview. Commander Rain, what's next for you? She smiled, faint but real. Peace. Or at least, a peaceful kind of trouble. Is the war truly over? She paused, thoughtful. Wars don't end. They just wait. But if it comes back, we'll face it the same way, head on, hearts open, weapons ready, and maybe, just maybe, with a joke or two. The feed cut there. It went viral in under an hour. Juno returned home for the first time in years. A small house near the Arctic Circle. Solar-powered. Quiet. The kind of place where nothing made headlines, and the stars looked close enough to touch. She walked inside. No war maps. No screens. Just books, a fireplace, and a dusty photo on the mantel. Her and her sister, years before everything changed. She sat down. Watched the snow fall. And for the first time in a very long time, she laughed. Not because it was war. Not because it was a weapon. But because she was finally free.